Greetings, beloved Princeton United Methodist Church community. It's Pastor Jenny, and I have an update for you. I am reading from Luke chapter 12, verse 32. Do not be afraid, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. This is the word of life. Thanks be to God. Oh my goodness. It is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. If only we can trust this. Let's remember first, what is the kingdom of God? The kingdom of God has many facets. It is first the thing that Jesus talked about most. Jesus ushered in the kingdom of God. It's not that it didn't exist before, it's just that in Jesus' very personhood, in Jesus' body, in Jesus' life, death, resurrection, ascension, Jesus brought the kingdom in accessible ways to us, in ways that it just hadn't been previously. In the kingdom of God, all is in right relationship with each other. We are in right relationship with God. We are in right relationship with one another. We are in right relationship with ourselves, our inmost being, and we are in right relationship with all of creation throughout the universe. In the kingdom of God, there are no outsiders. All are included, all have a place at the table, and we've learned how to share with one another. There is enough for all to feast and be fed in the kingdom of God. In God's kingdom, we have figured out how to let God be God, and we be God's people. We've learned to trust God, to follow the way of Jesus, the way of God's kingdom. And throughout the Gospels, they're over and over, Jesus is talking about the kingdom of God, often through parables and through other teachings. But Jesus is also demonstrating, living in the kingdom. See, the kingdom is always accessible to us, even when, it's always accessible to us, though much of the time we kind of live apart from it. We don't know how, or don't choose to, don't live in a way that helps us to access that kingdom. Jesus' teaching was that the kingdom of God would be true on earth. Think of how we say the Lord's Prayer, thy kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. It's something that can and does exist right now, right here, if only we would let it. Do not worry. Do not be afraid, little flock. It is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. This section comes right after last Sunday's section. And this section is about greed. It's about anxiety. It's about the ways that we fail to live. We have not learned to live in the kingdom of God. We often live as if there were this, that it was a lot of work, or we have to convince God to give us the kingdom. We also live in ways that that tend to mistake what God does want to give us, or these kinds of things. We have all sorts of ideas about what we want and what we need in life, right? Much of it's true, but we also this is one of those places where we tend to miss the turnoff for the kingdom of God. We tend to go on this path that says, that defines wealth and power or success and enough in the world's ways instead of God's ways. So when God says it is God's good pleasure, when Jesus says it's God's good pleasure to give us the kingdom, that's not to say that it's our ideas of what that looks like, right? It's something that we get to, that is so much more than we could ever want. But it often feels like on the way there that we're giving up a whole lot. In some ways, that's right, because the way of the kingdom is the way of the cross, is the way of Jesus. And along this way, we have to shed all those things that are not of Christ and put on all those things that are of Christ. This is ultimately freeing, enlivening, amazing work. It is the stuff that brings the fullness of life to us all. It is the stuff that quenches the deepest thirst that we have, that fills all those gnawing hungers at us that tend to send us this way instead of this way toward God's kingdom. But it's hard for us to be convinced, to truly trust that this way is the true way, that our thirst and our hunger and that desire for the fullness of life will be satisfied. So we tend to take all these other detours, we tend to do all these other things, and it leads to this kind of practical atheism. We believe in God, or we even, and when I say believe, I mean trust. We are working to trust God. We hope, we know that God is out there somewhere, and we're seeking out God. We're praying. We're learning the ways of discipleship. But there are times when we don't act the way we believe, the way we say we believe, the way that we are naming that we believe. We tend to say we believe, we say we trust, but then we find all these other things, this direction to claim and cling to. We trust ourselves more than we trust God. We trust our insurance programs, and we trust our savings accounts, and we trust the things that we have done to ensure good things for tomorrow. Now, there's practical reality, of course. Of course, we need jobs, and we need to be good stewards of our finances. We need to not be careless and restless and not good stewards of what we have been given, right? But we need to balance our prudency and our planning with care for the poor, with care for our neighbor, with compassion, with generosity. We need to balance the things that we do that make us good stewards, that help us lead us into good stewardship, with this trust that even when not all of the plans go forward the right way, that God will still be there, that we have people, a community that we can trust, through whom God has given to us. So I'm inviting you to hear these words once more. Do not be afraid, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. May we trust that. May we explore the ways that we forget how to trust that it is God's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. Friends, I will not be there on Sunday. My Bobby and Elliot and I are taking a couple of weeks. We're going to California. We want to see the Pacific Ocean and some giant trees in Sequoia National Park. And so Pastor Taylor will be preaching for you this coming Sunday, and Pastor Jay the following week, and then I'll be back after that. So you won't get a video update from me the next couple of weeks, but you'll have lots of good people taking care of you. Be sure to reach out to the office, or Pastor Jay or Pastor Taylor or Pastor Skitch if you need anything while I am away. One of them will be able to care for you and to help you out. Many blessings to you. Friends, it is, as always, such a joy to be on this journey with you. You will still be in my heart. I will not forget you as I enjoy some time for rest and relaxation. But you are in good hands, and I am thrilled that you've given me this time to do that kind of play and restoration with my family. Know that you are enough because God is enough, and know that you are created for joy. Blessings on you. I'll see you in a couple of weeks.